Well, I thought I would have this conversation because I think it's important for you all to kind of understand certain things. You know, a lot of times folks will have conversations that are not very enlightening. Yeah, they're very, how can I say this? You can't take very much away from it. Sometimes you learn some things depending on who you all watch. I watch a lot of things that are very fascinating, so I try to take away a lot of things from people who are very, very knowledgeable. Sometimes, in many cases, the folks that I watch, listen to, observe are vastly more knowledgeable than myself. Little trick to this whole thing we call existence. Really observe people who are far superior to you in intellect, and you'll grow smarter and smarter. Yeah. Anywho, I thought I'd have this conversation because not many people have it or want to talk about this. Our current Vice President, Kamala Harris, and her departures in terms of staff, why so many people quit from working with her, and more broadly speaking, why folks have a difficult time and dislike working with black women bosses. Strap up. This one is going to be enlightening to say the least. Now, you say, are you speaking from personal experience? Broadly speaking, let me put this as a caveat. Broadly speaking, you never want to overly generalize a group. So, black women are not a monolith. There are plenty of people who enjoy working with black women as bosses or superiors. But I'm talking in large part a lot of the American populace. Why people dislike working with black women as bosses, and why the vice president has a difficult time with her staff. So this is going to be general observations and takeaways from why that's the case. Let me start off with this. Did you all hear that Lizzo is in the news? Apparently some of her former dancers are alleging that she created a toxic work environment. And it's predicated on a couple of examples that they gave. One being that she went out on the town with some of them in Amsterdam, and there were some risque things that they just weren't necessarily comfortable doing, and they felt forced to kind of pretend that they were enjoying the situation when they really weren't. Okay, that's one of the allegations. The other is the fact that she made them audition for parts to be dancers even after they got the position. Okay, that's the second part of it. Why is this important? Before we get to the vice president, why is this important? Lizzo is a black woman who's a boss, right? And these dancers would be working under her, right? And these are female dancers, right? Okay, so this is even women too. This is, broadly speaking, this applies to women and men. They all have difficulties working with black women as superiors. And I'm going to tell you why. It's kind of simple, but you're going to never really think of this. And it's probably not the thing that you would ever really think about either. That's why I'm going to tell you it. Black women in any industry, whatever industry they work in, most are not in supervisory positions, right? Most are common employees and things of that nature. When they're in those positions, many of the times, they're the first person in their family that's ever worked in those positions, okay? Due to the structural racism system that we operate in America, many black women haven't had a time or opportunity to work in many industries. Yeah, whatever the position is, they just haven't had the time to do it. When they're in those positions, there's something that really often happens that people overlook. It's called microaggressions. It can be done by anybody, really. It can be done by coworkers, your superiors, maybe third-party contractors that you interact with. And usually these microaggressions are things that other people would sort of kind of look aside or brush off and just be like, it comes with the territory. But because of how racist black women have been treated in America, they take it personally. That's not an offense to them. It just is what it is. I'm just telling you all things that are what they are. If you're told in many industries, as black women were, that you cannot wear your hair naturally, that you must wear it a certain type of way to appease a European standard, that's a microaggression. It's very race-based because it's telling you you can't be truly who you are, okay? Now, it's not just that. It doesn't stop just there. It's also many times isolation from your coworkers and your superiors. Many times when black women are in an industry, there might be only one or two black women in the industry. If they're there with a lot of people who aren't black and they aren't women, most people, regardless of age, they do this. I've seen it, I've observed it. Regardless of age, they tend to be cliquish, okay? So if you have a lot of females and they're not black and you're the only black woman, many of them won't associate with the black woman. They'll act like she's invisible. She's not there. They'll talk with all the other women and they'll skip over your office. Say, for instance, you walk into work and the offices are kind of in a line all down the road. And the HR person, she'll walk in and she'll say, "Good morning, Jesse. Good morning, Tyra. Good morning, Bethany. And here you are, Samantha. You're the black woman." She'll just walk right past your office and go to the next person. "Good morning, John. Good morning, Bethany." Invisibilizing you. That in itself is another microaggression. Many black women, if you ask them, they deal with this at work. When they're on break room, they'll act like they don't see them in there. They won't speak to them. That's another microaggression, invisibilizing you. So, all of these microaggressions add up over time. So when black women do take on supervisory roles, they tend to be hardened, because they've been treated in a not so nice, hospitable manner. It doesn't mean that they overtly do anything bad to you. It just means that they demand a certain caliber of work ethic. Many people, I've observed this, many people, when they work with black women, they tend to be mediocre. Yeah, they tend to not give their full like they would to a man. We know that men don't give their full to women anyway. Whether it be a black woman, white woman, Asian woman, whoever the woman is, regardless of ethnicity, if a woman is their superior or their boss, men are mediocre. They don't give their full. That's true. That's a fact. But women, however, they do it in a different way. They'll be like, "Well, The reason I didn't complete this assignment is because I don't feel you gave me an appropriate amount of time. And you'll be sitting there in the office and you'll be like, well, Bethany, how long did you think this project, how much time did you think you would need to complete this project? Well, I thought I would need maybe like 5 weeks, and you said 3 weeks. Well, Bethany, why didn't you come to me when you got the project in the timeline and say I needed more time? Why did you just not get it done, and I'm expecting to have it done today? Well, that's why I'm here now. But Bethany, you know that you can't come on the day of assignment that is due and tell me that you need more time. You should have emailed me in advance, right? Well, are you going to allocate me more time or not? Well, Bethany, I don't know if that's really the issue. Now, is it? Then she'll go and walk out the office. What a bitch. She'll mother that under her breath, okay? More things that black women have to deal with as supervisors, bosses. They're just not respecting, their supervisory capabilities. That's a big one with black women. They'll tell you that. If you work under a black woman, they'll tell you people don't respect our supervisory capabilities. Meaning they try to always undercut you. Maybe not overtly, but covertly. They try to always undercut you. So you all didn't think I was going to go this deep, but I know things. I know a lot of things. This is why this is an important conversation. Let's go to the vice president. When she was an attorney general, when you're an attorney general, you have to prosecute bad folks or folks that you think are acting in a bad way. If you've got a staff who doesn't really excel at their job, they just do the bare minimum, and you're a young black woman and you've never been an attorney general before, you've never had that position, no black woman has ever had that position, you're the first one, you want to set the standard high. You want to set the bar really, really high. And because a lot of black women are finally getting positions that they've never been in before, they have a high standard of excellence. They want their workers, their employees to be up to par with. And many people just can't cut it. Yeah, they would be mediocre working with anybody, but they're really considered to be mediocre when it's a black woman who's their supervisor. Because she's sitting there thinking, look, I've had to deal with all of these microaggressions to work myself up the ladder, and I've had to take it. Sometimes I really wanted to flip out, but I had to take it. And now I've achieved this position, and I've got you in my office. You don't do the work when you're supposed to do it. You want to argue with me about how you need more time to do it, but you don't want to tell me that in an appropriate manner. This, that, and the other. And they're like, when I had your position, I had to be excellent. I had to do this. I had to do that. And they're right. They did. Because they were the first one in their family to ever have that position. You might be like, this might be something that your family has had positions like this for generations. So you're like, why is this bitch tripping out on me? Like, I'm trying my best right now, and she's still not seeing that I'm trying my best. So it's commonly referred to as a disconnect. There's a disconnect in the workplace. And so some people take that high bar of excellence that black women try to set when they're bosses, and they see that as, well, you're never satisfied with my job performance. I quit. This is an abusive work environment. Not really. It's just you can't meet a certain bar of excellence that black women have set, because they've set that for themselves. In order to achieve that position, they had to be excellent at all rungs of the ladder. You haven't. Maybe you've been mediocre at times. Maybe you've been really superb at times. Maybe other times you've been mediocre. But it's different. It hits different when it's the first person. When you're the first black woman who's ever been Attorney General. First black woman who's ever been mayor. Plenty of men have been mayors. Plenty of men have been Attorney Generals. So you can just get in there and lollygag if you want to. It's like, whatever. But if you're the first, you really have to set something we commonly refer to as precedent. Because all eyes are going to be on you. You're the first one. So black women always think about other black girls are going to look at their example because they're the first one. What did the first one do? Did they excel? Did they exceed? Yeah, it's pressure. It's a lot of pressure they put on themselves. And then that pressure is redistributed to their workers. And some workers just can't cut it. Yeah, it's not a race-based thing at all. It's just that pressure that they put on themselves, it has to be distributed equally to all of you, the underlings. Believe you me, I know. I don't take offense at it because I understand this is the first time this woman has had this position. You can't go in there thinking that you can lollygag and not cut it because you're not going to make the cut. Yeah. Oprah Winfrey, people said that about Oprah Winfrey too, that she was a tough boss. It's a consistent thing. And when you have that many consistent claims from people saying that high-profile, powerful black women are somehow hard to work with, you have to really analyze and delve back into the reason why that's really truly the case. Yeah, it is the case, but there's a reason why. And I wanted to explain the reason why. Because some folks will be like, oh, well, you know, they're just that way. Well, they're just that way because this is the first time they've had that opportunity for that position. You as somebody who's a male, you've had opportunities. Yeah, you've had plenty of opportunities. And you can bounce to somebody else easily. With a black woman, it's also very difficult to hop from industry to industry, even if you have a lot of experience. Because oftentimes they don't look to hire black women in these industries. They just don't. Or maybe they have a quota. Maybe they'll hire 1 or 2 or 3. But the whole rest of the industry is all white. And then they'll say, we celebrate and appreciate diversity. 99% of their staff is white. 1% is minority. And they say, we appreciate diversity. Really? Because by those numbers, it's not too diverse. I'm just telling you what it is, what the truth is, the real reason. Because they tell you reasons, but they're not the real reason. Yeah, this is the real reason. Do I think the vice president is difficult and hard to work with? Absolutely I do. Absolutely. Do I think it's appropriate to be difficult and hard to work with if you're the vice president and you're the first female vice president? Absolutely I do. Yeah. Because she's the one that everybody is going to be looking to. Women, all women, are going to be looking at her example. What does she do? You don't think she knows that? Yeah, she knows that. Any woman who becomes the first president, no matter who it is, all women are going to be looking at her. What does she do? How does she operate? Yeah. So that pressure gets equally distributed in behavior, in tone. And you know, I've worked with a bunch of folks I had a bunch of supervisors, many of which were women. But I've had some male supervisors too. And one thing that's commonly true about supervisors or bosses or superiors is that there's a certain amount of pressure that's applied no matter who the individual is. Sometimes when it's a black woman in particular, I've observed that some people will try to go out of their way to try to act like that wouldn't occur if it were somebody outside of a black woman. And I'm just sitting there thinking, no, I've had superiors that behave equally the same way. I've had superiors raise their voices. I've had superiors scream. I've had superiors throw things around the room. I've had superiors call me names. I've had superiors curse me out. And they weren't all black women. So when a black woman does that, that's something that's common to most superiors, I would say. Yeah, especially if they're upset at your work performance. Yeah. So sometimes people will be like, she's only doing that because she's black. And I'm like, no. Come on now. Bless your heart. How many supervisors have you had in your life? Well, John, there's a reason why John is your last supervisor, right? Yeah. John probably should have been fired a long time ago because John doesn't demand excellence anymore. He just sits in that chair and he goes about looking over his computer. And every once in a while he'll call somebody in the office, ask them how they're doing. Black women micromanage a lot. They micromanage. A lot of bosses do, but black women are the kings, the queens of micromanaging. If you don't like people who micromanage, do not ever, and I do mean this, ever work for a black woman who's a boss, because they're going to micromanage you. It just is what it is. Just know that up front. They're going to be like, I'm going to nitpick every little thing you do, period. Because I want it to be superb and excellent. Because you represent me. I'm the supervisor. And if your work isn't up to par, they're going to come and say, you have this work and it's not so good. Why is that the case? I'm not going to blame you. At least my supervisor is not going to blame you. They're going to blame me. So your work has to be up to par. Yeah, that's how they feel about it. And depending on the industry, it's not all industries, but depending on the industries, that really is the case. Because, say for instance, you're doing some type of data work, and your data work is due in like 3 weeks. And your supervisor is a black woman. And she calls you into the office week 2, and she's like, well, how's it going? How's the data work going? And you're like, it's going pretty good. I've completed like 50% of it. And she's like, there's a week left to go. Are you going to be able to do the other 50%? And you're like, well, it has taken me a lot longer. And that's when she flips out. She's like, why didn't you tell me this a week ago? Like, I've called you into my office multiple times and you've never said that your data was taking you a long time. Now with a week left to go and you got 50% left to go, why do you call me into the office? And you're going to be like, well, this is why I'm telling you now, kind of. And she's going to be like, that's not good enough for me. You're going to get this done in a week. What do you need to get this done by 1 week? Well, maybe assign another person onto the task. Is that all you need? You need to be upfront with me. Is that all you need? Oh, yeah, she's gonna. Child, she wants excellence out of you. And, some people, I've noticed this in life, some people don't want to be excellent. They can only be mediocre. You can only get like maybe 5% out of them, and you're trying to get 95, and they can only do 5. They really can only do 5. I'm keenly aware that most people can't be excellent. Yeah, they just can't. Black women don't understand that or realize that. Especially Americans. Americans cannot be excellent. They're mediocre. They're subpar. And when you're demanding excellence from somebody that can't excel, it can be dicey. It can cause friction. And that's why a lot of people feel a certain way about black women. They're like, I can't work with a bitch. She's just too demanding. She's just overly demanding of me. No, you just can't cut it, bro. You're not up to par. You're subpar. You're mediocre. But people don't want to ever talk about their standard. They always want to deflect and project onto someone else. And so then it becomes the black woman. She's a bitch. She's mean-spirited. She's this because you can't get your assignments done when you need to get them done. I've been there. I've seen it. I know how it goes. Yeah. And so I thought I'd tell you all this. I'd share it with you that generally speaking, in my humble estimation, black women demand a certain type of rigorous excellence. And most people, the vast majority cannot meet that standard. Black women are incapable of understanding why, because they're like, I had to do this, I had to excel at this, I had to do this, I had to take this. And most people can't explain why they had to excel, black women had to excel when they didn't, because they don't understand the race-based structural system in place that black women experience. Is something that's uniquely their experience. So there's this disconnect. So you got one side of the equation, one side of the coin saying, you can't do it because you're a bad worker. And the other side saying, no, this is just too much you're putting on my plate. Like, you're expecting me to move mountains when I can't. And the black woman is just like, I could do this myself. I could get it done in a week. And she probably could. She's not lying. But this bum, they couldn't get it done in 5 weeks. They need like 2-3 months to get something done that you can get done in a week. It just is what it is. It's a mismatch. Yeah. And oftentimes that creates friction with employees or staff that work for black women. Yeah. Because I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. Most employees, they don't have to be excellent at their job. They have to be sufficient. Black women really, because this is their first go-round as supervisors and bosses in the American society, they don't really understand that most people are just required to be sufficient. They don't have to be excellent. Because if most people were required to be excellent, most people wouldn't have a job. Let's face it, that's a fact. If all you bitches had to be excellent at your jobs, nobody would be working. So black women are like, I've always had to excel, and they're right. But most people didn't, and that's what they don't understand. There's a mismatch. And I thought this was a crucial conversation and really an enlightening conversation for both sides to try to see one another, try to understand where one another is coming from. Because sometimes you all think that one side is picking on you and the other side thinks it's the case. And sometimes it's just a total mismatch. It's like you can't see the opposite person's point of view where they're coming from. And because I have vantage points, I can see things that you all can't see. I can understand things that you all can't understand. Yeah, I can tell you with all of a certainty, it has nothing to do with your race, your gender, on either side. It's just a mismatch in terms of capabilities, really. In essence, it boils down to capabilities. Some people are incapable, most people, I shouldn't say some, most people are incapable of being excellent at their job. Black women are capable of being excellent at their jobs. This is also a little secret that corporate America knows. They hire 1 or 2 black women. This is terrible, but it's true. They'll hire 1 or 2 black women in an industry. They'll give them a lot of work. They'll give them a whole lot of work. Their caseload will be packed. And they'll complete that caseload in record time. And they'll give other employees a smaller caseload. And so they'll work and work and work the black woman. And she'll be like, wow, I'm completing a lot of shit. Why am I not getting paid? And you're like, well, the boss is like, well, you're a really good employee. I think I'm going to give you a raise and a promotion. Really, in essence, when the boss does that, he's really telling you, you're doing what 10 other employees are supposed to be doing, and I'm going to give you a slight raise because I know that you're a good employee and you're really excelling, and you're looking at Bob over there slacking off. You're looking at Jill always talking with Franny, and you're really standing out for the company. No. Really what he's trying to do is CYA, because really he should be firing Franny and Jill and going and getting on Bob's ass about being mediocre. But he'd rather keep you around and pay you and promote you because you're doing their work and then some. Yeah, I know how the game works. Yeah, this is how it works. And so black women, when they finally get that position of authority, they're like, it's time to be excellent under me. And people just can't cut it because they've never had to be excellent. And they can't do it. It's impossible. Black women are demanding something from workers that they can't do. Lizzo told those workers they had to perform to keep their role. They're like, I've never had to perform to keep my job. They're like, what is this? This is new. Huh? They were like spazzing out. They were like, you mean to tell me I have to, once I get the job, I have to keep training and performing? Girl, you're asking me to do too much. They probably went to Lizzo and they probably told her, girl, you're asking me to do too much. I have to work to keep my job? Girl, I just want to sit here and eat Twinkies and scroll on Twitter and Instagram. I don't want to do all that. You're doing the most, girl. And Lizzo is like, really? Because there's somebody younger than you that really wants your position. And you got to work to keep your job. That's what Lizzo is thinking. So there's a disconnect between Lizzo's employee and Lizzo. And it has nothing to do with she's abusive or hostile. It's just that one person wants you to maintain excellence, and the other person is like, bitch, I got the job. Let me chill. Black women don't let you chill. They work you. Why? Because they've been worked like that. So they're like, when we get the position, we're going to make sure that you work too. And other people is like, we've never worked this hard before in our life. And they're like, yeah, it shows. You're lazy. You're a bum. Yeah. So black women go around thinking that they're lazy and bums. They're not really lazy or bums either. They're just, that's never been a requirement, a prerequisite. Yeah. It's a total mismatch. Yeah. So I learned early on never to demand excellence of people. Because 99.9% of people cannot meet excellence. Hey, if they can meet just the bare minimum, you're winning for the day. If somebody has an 8-hour shift and they are productive 4 hours out of that 8 hours, do you know you're winning for the day? Yeah, people go to the bathroom how many times? How long do they stay in the bathroom? I've worked in offices before, you all. They go to the bathroom, they're gone for 30 minutes. Oh, I went to the bathroom and then the break room. I had a break, and then I took a phone call. One of my kids was tripping out, so I had to take a phone call. You can't do all that shit with black women. Like, you went to the bathroom, the break room, and talk with your kid? Okay. I think because you're behind schedule, you're going to have to stay an extra hour. What do you mean, stay an extra hour? I'm not that far behind schedule. You can't make me stay an extra hour. Yes, I can. I'm your supervisor. You're going to stay an extra hour tonight because you took 30 minutes in the bathroom and on the phone yapping. Black women have no chill. They'll tell you what it is. And a lot of people can't put up with it. They just can't make it. They can't cut it. Yeah. Because they're used to mediocrity. Yeah. Y'all didn't think I knew this, right? I'm like, damn, can't get anything past you. Well, you can probably get some things past me, but not much. Some things, few things can go past us. But generally, I catch up to the few things that pass us too. That's how it is. Yes, I just thought I'd let you all know that could I work for the vice president? Somebody asked, could I work for the vice president? I wouldn't want to work with the vice president, nor the president. I don't work for politicians. But I would say this. I worked on campaigns. I worked on campaigns before. That I have not. When you have a field director that's a woman, regardless of ethnicity, be prepared to work. The field directors that are men, they don't really work y'all that much. They're like, we know how this works. They do it the old-fashioned way. Here's a list, make this many calls, we'll get some pizza. Hey, and then they'll get distracted with Jill. You know, men working on campaigns, they love to hit on the women that work on campaigns. Hookups. The best place, this is a little FYI, you all, the best place to find a significant other is working on a political campaign. Happens all the time. Yeah, but anytime you have a black woman who's a supervisor or a boss, a lot of people in this country are going to dislike you. One, they're envious and jealous of you, that you made it. So there's that component. And then the second component is this mismatch in terms of demand. You're demanding this, but I can only supply that. The demand is not meeting the supply. So black women don't really understand that. They can't wrap their heads around it. Because anytime they were ever demanded anything, they exceeded the supply. Yeah, by leaps and bounds. That's why a lot of companies want to hire and put black women into certain positions because they know certain positions there's more tasks to do. Yeah. To obfuscate from Jimmy having to do it and taking 4 weeks to do a task that Samantha can do in 3 days. Yeah, I've seen some stuff, you all. I've seen some stuff. They'll give Jimmy one task. It'll take 2 days, and it'll turn into 4 weeks. And they won't bug Jimmy at all. Samantha will get that same task. She'll be done in 24 hours. It's like, I gave that to Jimmy like 2 weeks ago, and it took him like 4 weeks. She'll just come into the office and say, Jimmy doesn't do no work. You know Jimmy doesn't do no work here. And the boss would just crack up laughing because they know it's true. Tell me I'm lying, y'all. I know how this works. Jimmy would just be sitting over there just lollygagging. You don't do no work. Just come in the office and tell the boss, you don't do no work, why give it to him? Give me the assignment. I'll get it done. Black women are go-getters. They get it done. Yeah. And they've had to do that all throughout. So when they finally make it up to the top, you got to be on your tip-top game. And a lot of people ain't, because they never had to be. They're like, oh my goodness, she's too demanding. Yeah. Because nobody's ever demanded anything of you. You've been allowed to slack off, be a slacker. She's like, why are you... The moment black women give a task to somebody who's a slacker and they know they're a slacker, and they prove that they're a slacker, she'll call you in the office. She'll be like, you know, your work performance is really not up to par. Do you really want to be here? Why are you still here? Well, I love the company and they have excellent benefits and it's allowed me to own a home. But yeah, but you're just not able to complete tasks when they're required. You do know that's a prerequisite of this job, right? Are you telling me that I'm not a good employee? Well, have you completed the last 3 tasks that I've given you in a timely, sufficient manner? Well, you gave me some tasks that I think were too difficult. You didn't give me enough time to complete it. That's when he'll want to go off on you. You know, that's when the toxic masculinity comes out. Defensive, fragility. That bitch know he's not doing no work. Yeah, they be knowing they're not doing shit. But they don't like being called out on it. And black women will call you out on not doing your work. That's another reason why people dislike them. Because they don't want to be called out for not doing their work. They just want you to let it slide. Baby, can't you just let it slide? No, I can't let it slide. You have to do your job, honey. Sweetheart, you have to do your job if you want to be in this company. Some of them will be real nice about it. Sweetheart, you have to do your job if you want to work in this company. I'm your supervisor now. Well, Jimmy never... Sweetheart, Jimmy is not your supervisor. Bless your little heart. I'm your supervisor now. Don't mention Jimmy. Do you see this name on the desk? It says Samantha. Jimmy is gone. You want to be gone like Jimmy? Okay, I need you to complete your assignments now. Jimmy got terminated from the company because he was always behind and they needed a new supervisor to come in and make sure that people complete their projects in a timely manner. Oh, they'll be nice about it too. They'll tell you why Jimmy got fired. Because Jimmy let you slack off. And Samantha is not going to let you slack off anymore. So then that's when it becomes a toxic work environment. Nah, you just haven't done shit. You haven't been working. Now somebody's there to observe and micromanage you. Yeah. I feel suffocated by Samantha. She's always demanding something of me. They're in the break room talking about Samantha like a dog. Yeah, she gives me 4 tasks, and these tasks have to be completed in 2 weeks. And the task probably can be completed in 3 days. Samantha gave him 4 weeks because she's like trying to go easy on him. Trying to give him a lot of leeway. But these bums, they can't do things in a timely manner. You're dealing with folks who are vastly mediocre. They're mediocre. They're really hardcore mediocre. And they have to quit. They have to leave. They have to resign. They get frustrated. They'll start talking about how the old employee, how the old manager used to do things. Well, Jimmy used to do it this way. That's why Jimmy got fired, right? Because apparently Jimmy wasn't doing it the right way. The big boss on top said, Jimmy, you're not being as productive and getting as much out of them employees as you need to, so we're going to hold you accountable and fire you. We're going to put Samantha over your job, and she's going to be the new supervisor now. Go ahead and train Samantha. Don't say that we're going to let you go, Jimmy. Just say you're training Samantha. Ooh, that's a horrible one. When a man has to train a black woman for a job, he knows already that she's getting ready to replace him. So it's always kind of difficult, that one. That one is a very difficult task. Because the company usually will tell them, we'll give you a nice severance package, but you're just not cutting it anymore. We need somebody that's going to crack the whip. Yeah. And they know Samantha, that black woman, is going to crack the whip on the employees. She's going to weed out all the really mediocre employees because they know they're going to quit. And then that's when they can hire new people. Yeah. So sometimes the company will put a black woman in charge knowing that those bones have been slacking off, knowing that she's going to crack the whip on them. And rather than the company firing them, they'll let them quit on their own because they know what's coming. Yeah, I know all the little games. Yeah. So you gotta rise to excellence. Can Americans rise to excellence? You know, it's gonna be quite a show when a black woman becomes president in this country. It's gonna be a show. You all get your popcorn and your Bota wine bottles ready. Yeah, get your Chardonnay. It's going to be a show because I kind of feel that a lot of folks, one, they're going to be irked that a black woman is giving them commands. I don't take orders from a woman, let alone a black woman. That's going to irk a lot of people. It's going to rub them the wrong way. That's point one. Point two is that black woman is going to demand a level of excellence that a lot of Americans are not used to. That's not in their, it doesn't come naturally for them. Let's put it that way. It doesn't come naturally for them to have to work at an excellent, have to be excellent at their work. So that's going to irk people. And then the last thing that's going to irk people is men. Men are going to have to bow down to a bitch. You know, they've been dogging out women for centuries on this planet. Centuries upon centuries upon centuries. And then they're going to have to bow down and take orders. Oh, I'm telling you. You think you've seen some toxicity? Wait till you see them make a bitch the commander-in-chief. Wait till you see that type of toxicity. Oh yeah, they're gonna flip out. We all know it. We all know it. And a black bitch at that? Women are gonna enjoy it. They're gonna love it. Let me tell you why women are going to love having a black woman as the first female president. Because they know that a black woman is going to demand excellence of men. And women instinctively know that men can't be excellent. So a lot of them are just going to drop by the wayside, shall we say. That's going to weed the herd, because you're going to see a lot of men, lots of men, black, white, Asian, Latino, whatever they are, you're going to see a lot of men just not be able to cut it. And she's going to come in there. She's going to salute him. I'm the commander-in-chief now. You gotta go. You're fired. And they're going to have to salute back, yes, ma'am. Madam President. That's what they're going to have to say, Madam President. Yeah. Hey, it is what it is. A lot of people are going to trip out. Because some fault goes to women. Women, you haven't really conditioned and molded your young boys to be respectful of your young girls. You haven't molded them the right way. And see, a lot of that blame goes to women. You can't just blame men, because mothers are your primary teachers. Before you go to any elementary school, your mother is supposed to teach you how to respect her. And because a lot of women didn't teach boys any type of respect, not for them, not for their environment, not for other creatures, not for other human beings, you're going to have a problem in this country. When they make the bitch the commander-in-chief, and they're going to make a bitch the commander-in-chief very soon. Yeah, it's gonna happen. Men are gonna bow down, or they're gonna get laid the fuck down. Period. Other men will have to lay them down, and women, and other creatures, and the environment. Because you have to take orders, regardless of who they come from, regardless of what gender, what genitalia it has. You have to take orders. And they're going to have to take orders from a bitch. Yeah. And they're terrified that it might be a black bitch. Because Americans, they can't work with black women. They dislike them. Because black women demand excellence. And we're not used to anyone demanding excellence of us. Look at Donald Trump as an example. He was ridiculous. He spent most of his presidency tweeting and golfing. He was a goof-off, a goofball, and he goofed off. And you look at the nation, he left his predecessor. Yeah. Now, if that had been a black woman that did 1/10 of what he did, y'all, the bitch would have been in prison by now. Probably wouldn't even have survived the entire term. I'll just leave it at that, because that's all you need to know. And they would have said, we're never making another bitch president for like 2 or 3 or 5 centuries. That would have been the recommendation. Don't ever make a bitch president. This dude tweeted and played golf the entire presidency. He did shit. And everybody knows he did shit. Yeah, the cult can say whatever they fucking want to say. He didn't do shit. Ran his big old ass mouth. Oh, I'm going to start a trade war. I'm going to put tariffs on everybody. They tried to tell him, you know, trade wars don't work. They generally don't work. Nobody's ever successfully won a trade war. No, you couldn't tell him shit. And so he started a trade war, and we've lost that trade war, and we've lost it miserably. Yeah, we lost it miserably. They're masking a lot of that shit with COVID. Some supply chain disruption is due to COVID. A large chunk of it is due to his stupid failed trade wars. Yeah, who would want to give us anything when we slap tariffs on everybody? He's like, for the first time ever, people are putting money into the coffers of the American society. No, they're not. The government printed more money, and he subsidized and welfared all of the farmers in the country. That's what really happened. The printer had to keep going and going and going and going. That's what the PPP program was about, the Paycheck Protection Program. He lost that trade war to China, you all. Yeah, he put farmers, all the white farmers are on both titties of the United States government. 80% of all of their income comes from the United States Treasury. They don't make any money anymore. Because the Chinese charged a higher tariff to bring in corn, soybeans, all the shit he slapped tariffs on coming into the country, China slapped them on coming into their country too. This is why trade wars, everybody told them trade wars don't work. Because whatever you do, other people will do it back to you. And they can keep increasing it. You can keep increasing it, and they'll keep increasing it. Yeah, they told him this. And he's a fucking dummy because he didn't listen. Period. I remember this is how much China joked around with this country. He said phase 1 of the Chinese agreement, the Chinese deal between the United States of America and China. Remember when the vice premier of China came over here and signed that shit? Everybody in China was laughing. I have friends there. They were laughing. The dude they sent to the White House was some low-ranking official. He's not even in the party that runs the republic. He's some low-ranking official. They gave him a title as vice premier. The dude is a nobody over in China. They didn't even respect to have the president of China come to the White House and sign that agreement with the president of America. President to president. They sent some foreign vice premier into the White House to sign a piece of paper that they knew was shit. Everybody was laughing. That was done for America to save face. That wasn't done for China. That's why China sent the vice premier. They said, send some flunky over there to meet with Donald J. Trump. We don't give a fuck about him. That's what China said. Facts. Facts. Go and rewind the tape. He was some vice premier. Nobody's ever heard of that dude. It was a joke. Okay? It was a joke. Nobody cares about mean tweets. You are babies. You basic. You think anybody over there cared what he was tweeting? They did not. While America was bullshitting, China was building. Period. Yeah, while y'all were bullshitting in this country, doing all kind of fuck shit, they were building. They built a car factory the size of 9 football fields in 1 year during a lockdown in 2020 in China. Yeah, it's completely automated. The size of 9, think about that, the size of 9 football fields in 1 year. We built some field hospitals. But y'all, they built a car factory, 9 football fields, the size of 9 football fields in 1 year during a lockdown in China. You cannot compete with that if you want to bullshit. And that's what Donald Trump was doing. He was the king of bullshitting, and everybody knew it. They didn't care whether Donald Trump got reelected. I want to let you all in on a secret. China did not care. The only little thing that irked the Chinese, I'm going to tell you what really irked them. And this would irk anybody. You have a global health emergency, right? Okay, cool. You shut down your country. China shuts down their country from all flights coming in and out. Everybody. Nobody can come in or out. Nobody. Period. Even Chinese people could not come back into China. Period. They were trapped over here. China did that in December of 2019. December. Our goofball president, he shuts down the country for people coming in, but he lets people go out, right? Okay, cool. You let people go out. Turns out he allowed ships, cruise ships, to come into the ports if they were from Europe. This is a fact. Go and look it up. If they were European cruise ships, he allowed them in. The bitch who had COVID and didn't know and infected the whole cruise ship, he allowed into the port of California. The first cases were in California. They reported the first case in Seattle. That is not accurate nor true. You know the truth now. He allowed a European cruise ship in, and she had COVID. Yeah, that's how he got into our country. Because he was racist. He said, the Chinese, they have to get out, and nobody can come in. But the Europeans, they can come in. And Europe had already been dealing with COVID, and they didn't tell the Americans this. They didn't. Why would they? You say the Europeans should have told them that. Why would they? See, you have to use common sense. If you see everybody else shutting down, you shut everything down. You don't say one group can come in, but another group can't. You don't do that shit. Yeah, you don't do that shit. Another thing that irked the Chinese people, you got Chinese citizens in this country, just like you have American citizens in China. China was not going around saying that the virus came from an American military lab. Even though there were people in China saying that, the government wasn't saying that. Our government started saying Shanghai shingles, the Wuhan virus. Yeah. The Wuhan flu. It's insulting. You don't do it as a government. You don't disparage people just because of where they're from. You don't do it. And so that irked the Chinese people, that their people were in a country and being discriminated against, being punched. You don't remember he was allowing Chinese senior women to be punched in the street by deranged people because of the rhetoric he was putting out, his supporters were putting out on this internet? Yeah. That's why people were being persecuted who were Asian, because he allowed it. And so that irked the Chinese people. They're going to forever remember that this country, which claims to be a republic and a democracy, did not defend people just based off of who they were, their ethnicity. I would have told the Chinese, America is racist as hell. But they couldn't get their people out because they're like, we shut down our country. So they were entrusting that Americans would actually behave appropriately. They don't know. Yeah, this is what happened. So you all, we allow that type of mediocrity in the highest office. So you can imagine what it is like in the little offices on the street, the little industries. And so black women, they wouldn't allow that kind of shit. So you all are going to have a really difficult time dealing with a black woman as president. I already know you're going to have a difficult time. That's why I'm explaining this now, because I think that it's going to be more important as the days and the months and the years go by to see where each one of us are coming from, to see both sides of the equation. Yeah. Because black women get vilified for demanding excellence in work. Whereas Donald Trump, when he was being told about COVID, Dr. Briggs said she had a meeting, the first meeting she had about COVID. She walked into the Oval Office and she was all prepared to talk about COVID and what they had known, what the doctors and the public health community had discovered. This is at the very beginning. She said the very first meeting she had with the president, it lasted 30 seconds, and he never asked her any questions, and he had the television on, and he looked distracted when she was speaking to him. 30 seconds about COVID. He's talking about he wants to be president again. If he doesn't go somewhere and sit his goofy ass down, no, they're going to sit his goofy ass in a prison. That's where he's going. And you all with him, following him, you're going to be sitting in a prison too. No, nobody's going for that goofy shit anymore. She said it lasted 30 seconds, the first meeting. She said he had the television on. He didn't ask any questions, and he looked distracted. And you wonder why we lost 1 million citizens to this virus? 1 million plus. It's probably way more than that. That's just what they were able to tell you all. Yeah. You wonder why people were fighting over toilet paper in the grocery stores? Why people were going outside, taking their pickup trucks and shooting down in the street black people? Why people were running to Kenosha with AK-47 shooting people? Why he was sitting there tweeting and golfing? Now talking about he want to be president again. I'm going to do everything, and I mean everything. If Republicans, if you see this, if he's your presidential nominee, I'm going to do everything to make sure it's a landslide for whoever his opponent is. We haven't endorsed anyone yet. Whoever his opponent is, I'm going to make sure that it's a landslide against him. I'm talking epic proportional landslide. If we can win 49 or all 50 states, I don't think we can do that, but I want to make sure it's a blowout, that he gets trounced. And then after the election, I want to sit back and maybe have some popcorn and watch them perk walk that bitch right to prison. And hopefully we never see him or hear his name ever again in this republic. They sent the right person after him. He's a war criminal. In my opinion, COVID was a war. They said we were fighting the invisible enemy. He wasn't doing shit. We were out here having to defend ourselves from all different types of shit. He wasn't doing shit. 15 days to slow the spread? You all knew that was a lie. I turned it on I was listening on the radio because I was hunkered down. And they said 15 days to slow the spread. I said they really shouldn't say that to the citizenry. They shouldn't give us false hope. Because everybody at that time was locked down. And nobody was giving arbitrary dates. Nobody even knew what the fuck this shit was. Let alone to give an arbitrary date of 15 days, 2 weeks and a day. I said, they know this is a lie. Then they said by Easter it'll be gone. I said, you're going to get rid of a virus, a novel virus that's never been on the planet before, by Easter. I said, is Jesus coming back to get rid of this? Yeah, I had to phone Jesus. I said, Jesus, you know anything about COVID? Jesus hung up the phone. I said, oh boy, Christ doesn't even want to deal with this. Then he said, we're rounding the curve. It'll be gone by the summer. The heat kills it. Now, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, as he's telling all these lies to you all, I'm like, folks are dropping like flies in South America, and it's hot in South America. You go to South America, everybody knows somebody that contracted that virus and that succumbed to that virus. People lost a lot of folks in South America too. I said it's hot as hell in Africa, and folks are dropping. Look at South Africa, folks were dropping. I said, this bitch is lying to us. He needs to stop giving us arbitrary dates. Then when the arbitrary dates start occurring because we knew it wasn't going to go away, you know what he suggested to us when I finally decided that I was going to back whoever his opponent was to remove him the hell out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? The final straw, the straw that broke the camel's back. You're never going to believe this. The President of the United States at that time came to a press conference and suggested that the American citizenry ingest bleach into our system to kill coronavirus. I said, yo, when is the election? What date is the election? Oh, let me circle my calendar and come on outside and do whatever I have to do to get him out. Oh, he also suggested we just inject the sun into people too. Yeah, we just take the sun and inject the sun into us. The sun will get rid of it. I'm sure they're still working on that one, how the sun is going to get rid of it. Yeah, this is bad, yo. And he's back for round 2, don't you know? Have you heard? He's back for more. Yeah, it's hashtag Fire Trump Again 2024. All day, every day. The moment he becomes the nominee, if the Republican Party is so stupid enough to nominate that clown again. It's hashtag Fire Donald Trump everywhere in America 2024. We're coming to your little town, your small towns, we're going to say hashtag Fire Trump Again 2024. Your big towns, we coming hashtag Fire Trump Again 2024. Your medium-sized towns, we're coming hashtag Fire Trump Again 2024. Because we fired him once. I'm going to be forever grateful, regardless of anything President Biden ever does. I'm eternally and forever grateful that he did one thing. He ended Donald John Trump.